This is Mia. At just 12 years old, she had experienced more pain and hardship than most people do in a lifetime. Born and raised on the streets of Chicago by a mentally ill mother, Mia had no father, no home, and no one to fight for her future. She spent only 2 years in school before dropping out because the woman paying her fees disappeared. Hopeless, forgotten, yet incredibly smart. But one day, everything changed. She met Emily, the daughter of a billionaire, studying at the best school money could buy, yet struggling to learn. And it was Mia, the barefoot girl from the slums, who became her secret teacher. But when Emily's powerful father discovered a homeless child teaching his daughter under an oak tree, what he did next will leave you speechless. So grab your popcorn, sit back, and get ready for one of the most powerful stories you've ever heard. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button to support more inspiring stories like this one. Dirty thing, get out! A wad of spit landed just inches from Mia's bare feet. She didn't move. She'd grown used to the insults. The street vendor's voice pierced the air again. "Is this a dump? You and that crazy woman better leave before I splash water on you." Mia tightened her grip on her mother, Rosa, who sat barefoot beside the gutter, mumbling to herself and tracing patterns in the dust with one trembling finger. Her clothes were torn, exposing scars and filth. But Rosa didn't notice. She was lost in a world only she could see. People walked past, some slowed, some stared. One woman paused, shook her head, and kept walking. No one helped. No one ever did. Mia was 12 years old, but the streets had aged her soul. She didn't cry anymore when people called her names. Daughter of a mad woman, gutter girl, cursed child. She'd heard them all. What hurt more was the pity, the empty kind that came with a shake of the head and no hand of help. Her mother used to be beautiful, or so Mia imagined. On rare, lucid days, Rosa would sing old American lullabies and call Mia Princess. But those moments were like shooting stars, brief and gone before you could touch them. Most days, Rosa couldn't even remember where she was. She'd scream at her reflection in puddles, throw rocks at shadows, and run from imagined monsters. Mia had no father, no name, not even a photo. "Who's my daddy?" she'd asked years ago. Rosa had looked at her with hollow eyes and replied, "I don't know. The rain. Maybe the rain." That was the end of that conversation. They slept under a broken awning near Inglewood. If it rained, they got wet. If it was hot, they burned. Their mattress was a flattened cardboard. Their blanket was silence. Mia didn't even know what it meant to dream anymore. Survival was the only language she spoke. Each morning began the same way. Rosa waking up, screaming, clawing at the air. Mia would grab her, hold her close, whisper, "It's me, Mommy, it's me." Then she'd gently clean her up, sometimes with just a rag and water from a public faucet, and lead her back to the same begging spot on the street. Her mother begged. Mia watched. That was their life. Occasionally, people dropped coins. Mostly, they dropped insults. "Mommy, don't talk today, okay?" Mia whispered that morning, tucking her mother's clothes more tightly around her. "Just sit. Just be quiet." But Rosa suddenly stood and shouted at a passing car. "Give me my wings. I left them in your trunk." The driver honked and swerved. Mia felt her cheeks burn. She turned and met the eyes of a schoolgirl across the street, neatly dressed, holding a lunchbox. The girl stared for a moment, then quickly looked away, whispering to her friend and laughing. Mia looked down at her own dust-covered legs, chipped toenails, dry hands. Her stomach grumbled, but she ignored it. Hunger was a constant companion. Still, beneath it all, she dreamed. She dreamed of sitting in a classroom, raising her hand to answer questions. She dreamed of wearing a uniform, writing in notebooks, reading books that weren't soaked in rainwater or torn at the edges. She dreamed of someone, anyone, calling her by name without scorn. But who would send the daughter of a mad woman to school? Who would care about a girl whose mother chased birds because she thought they were demons? Nobody. And yet, Mia still hoped. She watched children pass with their backpacks and neat braids, and she whispered to herself, one day she would sit in a real classroom. One day she would escape this cursed corner of Chicago. One afternoon, while rummaging through a dumpster near a public library, Mia found an old math book, its cover torn, but pages still readable. She took it back, hid it under the cardboard, and each night under the streetlight, she taught herself. She wrote equations on scraps of paper she scavenged, using a broken pencil stub. That was her secret, the small flame that kept her going. It started with a burger. Mia had been crouching beside her mother, near an alley in Southside, her stomach tying itself into knots from hunger. Her mother was having one of her silent days, just rocking back and forth like a broken record, her eyes unfocused, lips twitching. That's when Mia noticed a man watching her from across the street. He stood behind a food truck, steam rising, a wooden table, and the unmistakable scent of grilled meat and fries. He had dark skin, a tall frame, and wore a simple t-shirt. There was something in his gaze, something that wasn't pity. Mia looked away, embarrassed. She hated being watched like an animal in a zoo. Minutes later, the man crossed the street and stood in front of her. "What's your name?" he asked gently. Mia stared at her bare feet, then whispered, "Mia, where's your mother?" Mia pointed at the woman beside her, now singing to an empty water bottle. The man's eyes softened. "She's sick, isn't she?" Mia nodded. "What did you eat today?" Mia didn't answer. Instead of asking further, the man held out a burger wrapped in foil. "Here, eat." Mia hesitated. Strangers didn't give food without expecting something in return, something she wasn't willing to give. "Don't worry," he smiled. "I'm not like the others." That was the first time she met Uncle Tony. The burger was hot, the meat tender, the cheese melted. Mia hadn't eaten meat in months. That same evening, Uncle Tony returned with a bottle of water and a bar of soap. "What's your story, kid?" he asked, as he helped Mia wash her hands. Mia told him everything. The madness, the streets, the school she'd once peeked into, the hunger, the hope, the dreams. She didn't cry, but her voice cracked. Uncle Tony wiped her hands with a handkerchief. "Tomorrow, come to my truck. You'll help me clean. In return, I'll feed you. Deal?" Mia nodded so hard her head almost fell off. The next day, Mia came. She swept, washed trays, served customers. She watched Uncle Tony carefully, how he smiled at people, how he ran his food truck with quiet power. One afternoon, Mia sat under the truck, writing equations from her old math book on a scrap of paper. Uncle Tony leaned down and asked, "Where did you learn that?" Mia answered, "From the math book I found in the dumpster near the library. I study it every night." He blinked. "You mean you never went to school?" "I did once, for 3 weeks. Miss Mary paid, but she moved away." Uncle Tony was silent for a long time. The next week, he returned with a gift, a brand new notebook and a pack of pencils. The week after that, he went a step further. 3 weeks later, Mia stood inside a dusty public school classroom, her hands trembling, heart pounding. She wore a second-hand uniform Uncle Tony had bought from a thrift store. It was too big, but it felt like a crown. "Behave yourself, okay?" Uncle Tony said that morning as he dropped her off. "Make me proud. I don't have money to waste." Mia nodded quickly, clutching the plastic bag with her new notebook like it was gold. The first day was strange. Kids stared. Some giggled. But the moment the teacher asked a question, and Mia answered before anyone else could raise a hand, Everything changed. She was smart. Too smart. She answered questions older students couldn't. She memorized poems after hearing them once. She wrote with speed and precision. Even the principal asked one day, "Who trained this child?" Mia always said, "Uncle Tony." Every evening after class, she returned to the food truck to work. She cleaned, helped serve, and sometimes got to taste leftover soup or fruit. But her real reward was watching Uncle Tony nod in approval and say, "Good girl." It was the first time Mia felt seen, felt loved. Then, just when life seemed like it was turning, everything changed. Uncle Tony came back one night holding a white envelope. "My brother in Atlanta just helped me open a new diner," he said, tears in his eyes. "After 5 years of waiting." Mia smiled. "So, we're traveling." The man stopped smiling. "No, Mia, just me." The room grew quiet. Mia blinked. "What about me?" Uncle Tony sighed deeply. "I paid for your school up to this term. Maybe God will send someone else to help you. I've done all I can." Mia stared at her plate. She wanted to scream, "Take me with you, please." But she only nodded. 3 weeks later, Uncle Tony was gone. No one said goodbye. No one else came to pay the next term's fees. The principal called her one day and said, "We're sorry, Mia. Without fees, you can't remain." She stood outside the school gate for hours, clutching her bag, waiting for Uncle Tony to come back. He never did. She waited outside the school gate until the sun began to fall behind the buildings. Her uniform was dusty. Her book bag hugged her side. Flies buzzed near her ear, but she didn't move. Her eyes were fixed on the bend of the street where Uncle Tony had promised to return. But that bend remained empty. Kids walked past in clusters, laughing, chasing each other, their parents waiting with snacks and hugs. No one came for her. Eventually, the gateman walked up. "Little girl, it's time to go." Mia nodded slowly. She stood, dusted herself off, and walked away. But she didn't go home. Where was home anyway? The broken awning she used to sleep under now had a new tenant. A corner near the bakery where Rosa used to beg was now occupied by 2 street kids who fought anyone who looked at them wrong. The streets had changed while she was gone. The only thing that hadn't changed was her mother. Still mad, still barefoot, still talking to ghosts and demons in the air. When Mia found her by the gutter that night, her mother was trying to feed a dead pigeon with breadcrumbs picked from the street. "Mommy, it's me. Let's go somewhere safe," Mia whispered. But her mother only hissed and slapped her. Mia wiped the blood from her lip with the back of her hand and sat down beside her anyway. They spent the night curled on the pavement, surrounded by cigarette butts and mosquito bites. Her mother laughed in her sleep. Mia didn't sleep at all. The next morning, she wore her school uniform again. She tied her books in a black plastic bag and walked back to the school. She waited outside the gate. Maybe they would change their minds. Maybe someone would help her. But when the principal passed, she paused and frowned. "Why are you here again? I told you no fees, no school." "I'll pay." "I will," Mia stammered. "How? You and that crazy woman don't even eat well." The words hit like a slap. Teachers passed. Parents stared. Mia's cheeks burned with shame. "Please, ma'am, let me just sit at the back." "I won't make noise." The woman shook her head. "Don't disgrace yourself. This is not charity. Leave." And that was it. The gates closed. Mia sat by the wall and cried into her book until the letters blurred. Days turned into weeks. She tried returning to the food truck, but it had a new owner now. Uncle Tony was gone for good. The new owner chased her off. She sold her last pair of decent sandals for $3 and used it to buy bread and jam. Her uniform faded into gray. Her notebook got wet in the rain one night, and the ink ran until all her notes became unreadable. People stopped seeing her as that smart girl. Now she was just another street girl, just another shadow on the roadside. One evening, while trying to find somewhere dry to sleep, she saw a boy, no older than 9, light a match and smoke something wrapped in paper. He looked at her and said, "Come join us. It'll make you forget you're hungry." She shook her head and walked away. Her hunger was loud, but her fear of becoming like those boys was louder. She still had one treasure left, her mind. And somehow, she still believed that one day, just one day, it would all change. She couldn't help herself. No matter how many times they chased her away, insulted her, or mocked her, Mia kept going back. Every morning, while other children were tying their shoelaces and tucking in crisp white shirts, Mia would find her way to the back fence of Starlight Academy, a private school that looked like a palace from her side of the world. The walls were painted blue. The windows had polished glass. Students wore blazers and sparkling shoes, their names stitched neatly onto their uniforms. She didn't belong there, not even close. But it didn't stop her. There was a broken section of the fence near a large oak tree where no one ever looked. That was her secret place. From there, she could hear everything. The chalkboard, the math problems, the teacher explaining verb tenses. Mia would mouth the answers quietly to herself, clutching a broken pencil stub like it was sacred. Her notebook had long been ruined, so she wrote on scraps of paper scavenged from trash bins, old wrappers, tissue boxes, anything with a clean side. Each day she stayed until the bell rang. Then she'd vanish before someone spotted her. But one Monday, she wasn't fast enough. A student noticed her, a ragged girl with bright eyes peeking from behind the fence. "Hey, who's that?" he yelled. Mia froze. Another student turned, pointed, and said with disgust, "It's that crazy girl again, the one who follows us." The class burst into laughter. The teacher stormed to the fence and spoke sharply. "What do you want? Who sent you here?" Mia stammered. "I just want to learn. Please, just let me listen from outside." "Are you mad? Do you think this is a public park?" "No, ma'am, but I won't disturb anyone. I promise." "Go tell your mother to pay school fees first," the teacher barked, "if you even know who your mother is." Mia's lips parted, but no words came out. The teacher grabbed a ruler from the table and raised it. Mia turned and ran so fast she didn't feel the tears stinging her cheeks until she reached the next street. She didn't give up. The next day, she found another spot near the public library. She didn't dare go near the school fence again. Instead, she sat under an old bench, eavesdropping on a group of students studying nearby. When they recited their times tables, she whispered along. When they practiced English vocabulary, she repeated after them. Sometimes she even corrected them in her head. One morning, a girl noticed her and threw an empty soda can. "Freak, go away. You're distracting us." Mia didn't flinch. The can hit her shoulder, but she held her tears. She came back the next day and the day after that. But pain has a way of piling up. One afternoon, a security guard saw her and dragged her by the arm. "Who are you? You're always sneaking around like a thief." "I'm not a thief, sir. I just want to learn." He didn't listen. He pushed her to the ground and warned, "Next time I see you here, I'll beat you." As she limped away, Mia looked up at the building, the bright walls, the desks, the blackboard. Everything she longed for, yet everything she couldn't touch. She sat under an oak tree and began writing multiplication tables in the dust with a stick. When the wind blew them away, she started again. That night, as her mother babbled beside her in sleep, Mia looked at the stars. "God," she whispered, "why do you make me so smart and then lock the doors to school? Did you give me this brain just to suffer?" There was no answer, just the distant honking of traffic and the quiet sobbing of a child desperate for more than survival. The first time Mia carried a tray of bottled water on her head, her neck nearly snapped from the weight. She was barefoot. The tray was rusted. The water bottles were barely cold, but they were all she could get on credit from Mrs. Jenkins' corner store. "Don't break any," Mrs. Jenkins had warned. "If one falls, you pay. If I see you sitting to rest, you pay." Maya nodded. She was used to rules that hurt. She adjusted the tray and stepped into the sun. The Chicago streets didn't care that she was 12. They didn't care that her feet were blistered or that her shoulders trembled under the heat. All they cared about was hustle. The water-selling business was war. Grown women shoved her aside. Boys twice her size called her "little mad girl" and stole her customers. Buses almost crushed her. Drivers yelled at her, but she kept moving. Every time she sold a bottle, she'd whisper under her breath, 50 cents closer to food. Her goal was simple: feed her mother. That was it. Nothing fancy. No dreams, no fantasies, just bread and jam so her mother wouldn't go hungry. By midday, her legs were shaking, her lips cracked, her body begged for rest. She found a corner under a faded billboard and sat. She had sold 10 bottles. That was $5. If she sold 8 more, she'd have enough to buy bread and a small jar of jam. A man walked past, saw her, and dropped $2 into her tray. "Go buy something, little one," he said. She blinked. "Thank you, sir," she whispered. But the moment he turned the corner, a teenage boy snatched the money from the tray and ran. She screamed and gave chase, but he vanished into the chaos of the street. Mia stopped. Her chest heaved. Her eyes burned. She sat by the gutter and sobbed. People walked past. No one looked twice. That evening she returned to the roadside where her mother sat, humming to herself and clapping like a child. Mia forced a smile. "Mommy, I brought bread." Her mother looked at her, confused. "Who are you? Who are you?" "The angel with black wings." Mia sat beside her. "No, Mommy. I'm Mia, your daughter." Her mother giggled. "My daughter is a star. She fell from the sky and drowned in a bottle of oil. That's what they told me." Mia held her gently and tore the bread into small pieces, feeding her slowly. She didn't eat. She was too tired. Later that night, Mia found a broken mirror by the awning they sometimes slept near. She stared into it, her face sunburned, her eyes swollen, her lips bleeding from too much heat. She looked nothing like the students in the school she'd seen. And yet, when she whispered math questions to herself, she still got the answers right. "When you divide 6 by 3, what do you get?" she asked herself quietly. 2, she smiled. No matter how much the world tried to break her, her mind was still sharp. Her fire still burned, and that was enough to keep her going. The next day, she was back on the street, tray full, feet raw, heart steady. She was selling water, but in her heart, she was still chasing something bigger. A chance, just one chance to prove that the daughter of a mad woman didn't have to die on the streets. Mia wasn't supposed to be there. Horizon Heights International School had tall, polished gates, guarded by men in Navy uniforms, with radios clipped to their belts. Students arrived in air-conditioned SUVs, escorted by drivers. The walls shimmered with fresh paint. The glass windows reflected the sun like diamonds. It was a school for the rich, the elite, definitely not for the barefoot daughter of a roadside madwoman. But Mia had seen it one too many times from afar. And today, something inside her said, "Go closer." She had no money, no plan, no right. But she had eyes filled with longing. So she crept around the side fence where weeds grew wild. She found a small gap near a drainage pipe and slid in, brushing off thorns as she slipped through. Her heart pounded like a war drum. She expected to be caught immediately, but no one saw her. She walked past flower beds, hiding behind trees, ducking every time she saw a teacher or student. Eventually, she found a quiet spot behind a large oak tree near the back field. From there, She could see one of the junior classrooms through an open window. She crouched low, pulled out a pencil stub from her pocket, and began copying the words she heard onto a scrap of old newspaper. She was halfway through a tough math problem when she heard a voice behind her. "You're the girl they always chase away, right?" Mia's heart stopped. She spun around. A girl about her age stood there, her hair neatly braided, her uniform spotless, her name tag sparkled. Emily Carter. "I didn't mean any harm," Mia stammered, backing away. "I was just listening." Emily tilted her head. "Why?" Mia blinked, confused. "Because I want to learn." Emily stepped closer. "You don't go to school?" "No, my mother. She's sick. We live on the streets." Emily looked down. Her polished black shoes made no sound in the soft grass. "People laugh at me, too," she said quietly. "They say I'm dumb. That my dad paid the school to keep promoting me." Mia looked up, surprised. "You?" Emily nodded. "I don't understand anything they teach in class. Everyone's always ahead of me, so I sit out here during lunch alone." A long silence passed. Then Emily smiled. "Do you want to sit?" Mia hesitated. Emily sat first and patted the ground beside her. Mia slowly lowered herself to the grass. Emily opened her bag and pulled out a textbook. "Can you teach me this? I don't get it." Mia looked at the page. Fractions. She studied it for a moment, then gently took the book. "Okay, so look. When you see 1-2 and 1-4, they don't have the same denominator." Emily listened wide-eyed as Mia broke it down. Within minutes, Emily was solving problems she had struggled with all term. "Oh my gosh," she gasped. "I understand. I finally get it." Mia smiled shyly. "You're not dumb." Emily grinned. "And you're not just smart. You're amazing." They sat under the oak tree for over an hour. When the bell rang, Emily stood. "Will you come tomorrow?" she asked. Mia hesitated. "They'll chase me. I don't belong here." Emily narrowed her eyes. "Wait here." She ran off. A few minutes later, she returned with the school's security guard following closely behind. "This is my friend," Emily said firmly. "Her name is Mia. She'll be here tomorrow during lunch. Let her in." The guard looked confused. "But she's not." "She's my friend," Emily repeated. "And my daddy owns this school. You have a problem with that?" The man blinked and said nothing. Emily turned to Mia. "Same time tomorrow, okay?" Mia nodded slowly, still not believing what had just happened. That night, as her mother sang to an empty soda can and danced barefoot in the dark, Mia sat by the gutter and prayed, "God, I met someone today. She saw me. She didn't call me dirty or mad. She listened. Please, let me see her again. Don't let this be a dream." Then she slept with a smile on her face, the first in a very, very long time. They met under the oak tree every single day. Same time, same spot. Mia came barefoot in her torn dress, clutching a plastic bag with scraps of paper and a blunt pencil. Emily came in her ironed uniform with a lunchbox packed by the cook, two girls from two different worlds. But when they sat under that tree, nothing else mattered. Their friendship grew like a fire in the cold. Emily laughed more now. She paid attention in class, not because the teachers finally made sense, but because Mia did. "Don't read it like a robot," Mia would whisper. "Read it like you're talking to your best friend." Emily tried, stumbled, then tried again. And when she got it, Mia clapped with joy like she'd won a trophy. Emily's eyes would shine. "No one ever claps for me," she once confessed. Mia blinked. "But you're rich. Don't people celebrate you?" Emily shook her head. "Only when I dress well, or when my dad hosts parties. Not when I get answers right. Not when I try." That day, Mia held her hand and said something she never thought she would say. "You deserve more." Emily didn't say anything. She just held Mia's hand tighter. One afternoon, as they shared Emily's sandwich and fries under the tree, Emily asked, "Do you have a best friend?" "You," Mia replied without thinking. Emily smiled. "Me too." Then her smile faded. "Mia, what if my daddy finds out?" "What if he says we can't be friends?" Mia paused. Her spoon hovered over the lunchbox. "Then you'll forget me. That's how it works." "No," Emily snapped. "I won't." "He'll be angry," Mia said softly. "Rich people don't want their daughters sitting with girls like me. My mother begs on the road, Emily. Some people say she's cursed. They think I'm cursed too." Emily was quiet. Then she leaned forward and whispered, "You're not cursed. You're magic." Mia blinked, stunned. "Magic?" Emily nodded firmly. "Yes. Who else can teach better than all my teachers? Who else can make me laugh when I feel like crying? Who else can make a place like this feel like home?" Mia's chest grew tight. Her eyes welled, but she blinked fast to hold back the tears. They started sharing more than food and textbooks. Emily brought Mia a hairbrush, a small blue notepad, even a pair of slippers once, though Mia rarely wore them, afraid someone would steal them on the street. In return, Mia told stories, real ones and made-up ones. Stories about stars falling in love with street kids, about girls who found schools and dreams, about mothers who got healed by rain. Emily listened like every word mattered. And it did. For the first time in her life, Emily didn't feel alone, and for the first time, Mia didn't feel invisible. But they kept it a secret. Emily didn't tell her teachers, didn't tell her classmates, definitely didn't tell her father, Robert Carter, one of the most feared and respected billionaires in Chicago. She didn't know how to. How do you tell a man who ran real estate companies and sat on TV panels that your best friend was a street girl with no shoes? And so, under the oak tree, the two girls built a world of their own. A world where names didn't matter, where background didn't exist, where a billionaire's daughter and a mad woman's child could dream the same dream together. One day, Mia didn't show up. Emily sat under the tree waiting. She checked her watch. 30 minutes, then an hour. Still no Mia. Panic crept into her chest. Had something happened to her? Had she fallen sick? Or worse, had someone chased her again? She stood, ready to run to the gate, when she heard a soft voice. "Emily." She turned. There was Mia, panting, barefoot, dirt on her legs, but smiling. "I'm sorry I'm late," she said. "My mom, she had an episode, ran into the road. I had to pull her away before she got hit." Emily rushed forward and hugged her tightly. "I thought you weren't coming." Mia chuckled. "Even if I had to crawl, I would come." Emily pulled back and looked her in the eye. "One day, I'll tell my dad. I promise." Ma swallowed hard. "What if he says no?" Emily smiled with fire in her eyes. "Then I'll scream until he says yes." That night, under the dim light of a broken street lamp, Mia lay beside her mother, who was humming to herself, holding a stone like it was a baby. Mia stared at the sky. "God," she whispered, "I've never had a friend before. Please don't let me lose this one." She reached into her pocket and pulled out the notepad Emily gave her. On the first page was a drawing. 2 stick girls holding hands under an oak tree, one in a uniform, one in rags, both smiling. Mia traced the drawing with her finger and smiled. Then she closed her eyes. And for the first time in her life, she didn't fall asleep afraid. The morning started like any other. Emily sat through her classes distracted, waiting for the lunch bell. Her fingers tapped her desk restlessly. Her heart was beating faster than usual. Teachers praised her improved performance. She had answered 2 questions correctly in literature. Even the principal mentioned it during assembly, but Emily didn't care because none of them knew the reason behind the change. It wasn't tutoring from an expensive private coach. It was Mia, the barefoot girl with a powerful mind and a heart bigger than anyone she'd ever known. Emily couldn't wait to see her. At exactly 12:35 p.m., she was already under the oak tree with 2 spoons, a lunchbox, and Mia's favorite cookies tucked into the corner. Then she heard it, the low hum of black SUVs rolling into the compound. Students turned to look. Teachers froze mid-sentence. Even the security men adjusted their uniforms and saluted. Emily's stomach dropped. "Daddy, why is he here?" Robert Carter didn't visit the school without warning. He was too busy for surprises. His name alone carried weight. His presence filled every space before he even spoke. Emily stood quickly, brushing crumbs from her skirt. She didn't know what to do. Then, before she could act, Mia appeared, breathless, smiling, barefoot as always. "I'm here," she said. "Sorry, I had to fetch water before leaving." But Emily wasn't smiling. Her eyes were locked on the figure stepping out of the SUV. Tall, dark-skinned, impeccably dressed in a black suit and leather shoes. Robert Carter, her father. Mia followed her gaze, her body stiffened. "Is that?" Emily nodded slowly. "My dad." Mia's smile vanished. Panic crashed through her chest like a wave. "I have to go," she whispered. But it was too late. "Emily!" The deep voice echoed across the lawn. She turned. Robert Carter walked forward, followed by 2 assistants. His eyes were sharp, calculating, confused. "What are you doing out here?" he asked. Emily swallowed hard. "I was having lunch." "With who?" Robert looked to his daughter's side and saw Mia, a girl in a torn dress, legs covered in dust, holding a worn-out plastic bag and a half-eaten cookie. His brow furrowed. "Who is this?" Mia bowed her head, her mouth open, but words refused to come out. Her entire body trembled. Emily stepped in front of her. "This is Mia. She's my friend." "Your what?" "She helps me. She teaches me." Robert blinked. "Excuse me?" Emily took a breath and stood taller. "The reason I've been doing well in school is because of her. She teaches me during lunch every day, and I understand her better than any teacher here." A long, heavy silence followed. Robert's eyes remained fixed on the trembling girl behind his daughter. Then he asked quietly, "Who are your parents, child?" Mia barely looked up. Her voice was dry and cracked. "I don't know my father, sir." "My mother? She's sick. She begs by the roadside near Inglewood. People call her mad. We have no home." One of the assistants shifted awkwardly. Robert's face remained unreadable. "You're not in school." Mia shook her head. "Why?" "No one to pay fees. My only sponsor. She left the state 2 years ago." Emily grabbed Mia's hand. Robert watched the gesture. His daughter holding this girl's hand like a lifeline, and for the first time he softened. "You've been coming here every day, teaching her in secret." Emily nodded. "I wanted to tell you, but I was scared." He looked at her, and for once his voice lowered. "Scared of me?" Emily whispered. "Scared you wouldn't let me see her again." The billionaire turned back to Mia. She flinched. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said slowly. "Take me to your mother. Please." Mia took a shaky step back. "Sir, please don't punish her. She doesn't know what I do here. She's not well. If I stop coming, I'll stay away. Just don't hurt her." "I won't," Robert said gently. "I just want to see her." Emily looked at her father. "Promise you won't chase Mia away." He stared at both girls, 2 children from different worlds, but somehow they had found each other. "I promise," he said. 30 minutes later, the convoy pulled into a dusty street near Englewood. Flies buzzed. The scent of burning trash hung in the air. Mia pointed. "She's there." A woman sat on the sidewalk barefoot, rocking back and forth, laughing at nothing. Her clothes were torn, her hair matted. "That's my mommy," Mia whispered. Robert was silent. He stepped down from the vehicle, walked toward the woman, and crouched beside her. "Madam," he said softly. The woman looked up. "Did you bring my wings?" "I left them in your car." Tears welled in Mia's eyes. "I'm going to help her," Robert said quietly. "I know people. She needs proper care." "Please," Mia said. "I don't want money. I just want her to be okay." He stood, turned to his assistant, and gave orders. "Get Dr. Elena on the line. Psychiatric unit, full treatment, no delays." Then he turned back to Mia. "And you?" Mia's heart raced. "From today, you are not a homeless girl." She gasped. He knelt before her, placed a firm hand on her shoulder, and looked her in the eyes. "You have a father now." Mia didn't believe it at first, even as the car pulled away from the dirty street that had been her entire world. Even as she watched through the tinted glass, while her mother was gently lifted into an ambulance, headed for the best psychiatric hospital in Chicago. Even when Emily held her hand and whispered, "You're safe now," she still thought it was a dream. She didn't cry. She didn't smile. She simply stared, trying to understand how a day that started with fear had somehow ended with a billionaire calling her daughter. Robert moved fast. By evening, Mia had taken her first proper bath in years. Emily had given her fresh pajamas. Her hair had been gently combed and tied back by one of the housemaids, who couldn't hide her surprise when Robert introduced her. "This is Mia. She'll be staying with us from now on. Treat her with the same respect you give my daughter." The entire house froze. The girl from the street living here. But Robert's tone left no room for questions. The next morning, Mia stood in front of the mirror in Emily's room, wearing a borrowed Horizon Heights school uniform. It was new, crisp, neatly ironed. She could hardly recognize herself. Emily clapped with delight. "You look just like me." Mia smiled weakly. "I feel like I'm dreaming." "You're not. My daddy said it's real. He said you belong here." "But I'm the daughter of a mad woman," Mia said, her voice trembling. Emily shook her head. "No, you're the daughter of my father now." Mia turned slowly to the window, staring into the rising morning light. "I don't know how to thank him." Emily smiled. "Then thank him the only way he truly cares about. Shine. Show the world what you can do." That day, the two girls walked into Horizon Heights together. Matching uniforms, matching bags, matching smiles. Gasps followed them. Children whispered. Teachers blinked in confusion. Wasn't that the same street girl who used to hover behind fences? Yes, it was. But today, she walked through the front gate as a student. In class, Mia raised her hand. Every question, every lesson. She wasn't just good, she was brilliant. Somehow, she even joined the school's math club, solving complex problems her peers struggled with. By the end of the day, the teachers called a meeting with the principal. "Where did this girl come from?" one asked. "She's not just smart, she's exceptional." The principal smiled. "From the street, apparently, but now she's family." Meanwhile, Robert kept his promise. Mia's mother was placed under expert psychiatric care at a private facility. Dr. Elena assured him that Rosa's condition, while critical, was treatable. "We'll stabilize her," the doctor said. "It will take time. But with love, medication, and structure, there's hope." Mia visited her mother once a week. The first few times, her mother didn't recognize her. She'd shout at the walls or cry over invisible snakes. But on the fifth visit, she suddenly paused. She looked up at Mia and whispered, You look like a star." Mia burst into tears. Weeks passed. Mia adjusted to her new life slowly. She still woke up some nights gasping, thinking she was back on the sidewalk. She still flinched when someone raised a hand too quickly. But gradually, her smile became freer. her laughter more frequent. She spoke in class. She made new friends. But no one ever took Emily's place. They were sisters now, not by blood, but by bond. They shared everything: stories, secrets, lunch, and dreams. Emily's grades soared, her confidence bloomed, her teachers marveled, and they all knew why. Because of the girl who used to sit under the oak tree. One Friday afternoon, Robert called Mia into his study. She stood nervously by the door. He gestured for her to sit. "I've been watching you," he said. "You've changed my daughter's life and mine." Mia lowered her gaze. "I didn't mean to. I just wanted to learn," he chuckled. "And now you will. As far as I'm concerned, you're my child. And I'll do for you what I do for Emily." He opened a drawer and handed her a brand new tablet preloaded with all her school materials. Mia stared at it like it was made of gold. Then she whispered, "Thank you, sir. Thank you for seeing me," when nobody else did. He stood and placed a gentle hand on her head. "You were never invisible, Mia. You just needed someone to look close enough." That night, Mia sat in the garden under the oak tree, now neatly trimmed, surrounded by clean tiles and benches. She looked up at the stars. "My name is Mia," she whispered. "Daughter of no one, friend of Emily, student of Horizon Heights." And now, she smiled. "I have a father." She closed her eyes and whispered a final prayer. "God, I used to ask you to make my mother better, to send me to school, to give me just one friend. You gave me all three. I don't deserve it, but thank you." She placed a hand over her heart. "I promise I won't waste this chance." And so, the girl the world called daughter of the mad woman became something far greater, a symbol of hope, a walking miracle, a living answer to her own desperate prayer. And for Robert, for Emily, and for everyone who ever believed that love and education can change a life, Mia was proof. The future had finally opened its doors, and she walked through them, head held high. No child is born worthless. Every life holds potential. With kindness, opportunity, and education, even the most forgotten soul can rise. Mia's story reminds us that one act of compassion can break cycles of poverty and rejection. True greatness isn't where you come from, but what you do when someone finally sees you. Believe, uplift, and never judge a child by their circumstance. We hope you enjoyed this powerful story. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Please share what you learned in the comments below. Your feedback means the world to us. And guess what? Another inspiring and educative story is coming your way in just a few days. So, make sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to be the first to watch when we upload. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like and share it with your family and friends. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you.